We have 13 weeks of pure excitement, pure learning, pure sharing, doing business together, bonding.
Idea extraction is your bedrock to building a profitable business.
Your business has a value, you have worth, and you need to be able to set your price. No matter how great the product is, it has to be marketed. If you have the cure for cancer tomorrow and you don't market it, no lives will be saved. Think about the challenges that we have and why your product or service is going to fill that. You are the brand. We have to find our own unique value proposition.
At the end of the day, business is about money. And the big question you're always going to get, who is going to pay for this and how much money is it going to actually produce?
The only thing that you need to do is not give up.
This is going to be an exciting ride, ladies.
Maybe we should start chatting through what we think their purpose could be. If they believe beauty being about confidence, about what you have, not about what you don't have, what would their purpose be then? Why would they exist? What role do we think? My internet connection is unstable. I'm sorry can everyone hear me? Am I good? I'm going to keep going.
I can still hear you.
Okay, good. I sometimes feel like the computer is talking to me, that I'm unstable, but that's for another day. So back to Dove's purpose. If we believe they believe in beauty should be confident, should create confidence, what role do we think that their brands, their products ultimately should play in the lives of the customers, and what action do we take to live up to that belief? So that could be the types of products they put out in the world. So opening it up, anyone want to kind of hazard a guess what their purpose could be? There's no wrong answer, so feel free to bombard us with some thoughts. I'm going to open the chat, sorry. To make everyone feel good about themselves. I'll just read them out. And you can all right away, you can see from this belief system how easy, I say easy, it is to kind of get to what is ultimately their purpose. Like we're talking about making people feel good, defining beauty on your own terms, and that you are beautiful no matter how you show up. Beauty is for everyone, therefore it's democratized. It's not just one thing. Everyone is beautiful, all shapes and sizes and colors, absolutely. Confidence in your own skin, beauty's, I think they've pretty much hit it right on the head, Davi.
Yeah, this is amazing. And I think what's really interesting about this is when we are crafting belief and purpose statements for clients, it's not something where we're like, you write it and you get it on your first shot. A lot of the time, I'll write like 20 different purpose statements, 20 different belief statements, because it's really interesting because it just a shift in the language, a shift in the way we're talking about them can totally change the direction of a brand. So the fact that there are so many answers here that are all around the same idea and different ways of articulating it totally show that there are so many ways that this brand can show up, but it feels really clear and that you can immediately look at this brand and they've done such a good job of articulating what they stand for so that we all kind of intuitively know what their purpose is. Should we give the answer?
Yeah, for sure.
So I did go through their website. I scoured through everything, and their actual purpose is that they say that we exist to help women develop a positive relationship with the way they look, helping them raise their self-esteem and realize their full potential. And it's quite a long purpose statement, but I think everyone that we're seeing totally nailed it. I think it's all about self-esteem. It's about helping women feel good about themselves, having that positive relationship with how they look, with their bodies. Great. So
exercise number 2, we thought maybe you could start to turn the lens on yourselves and your own business, and start to, like, if you haven't done this exercise around starting to think about your business as a brand, and that your brand can ultimately help define the way in which you show up in the world. So we thought maybe we'd start with a little bit with what is your belief. That's really where we always start with clients when they come to us with looking for help to really crystallize what their brand should stand for. So again, back to kind of some of the tenets you can use to help kind of tease this out for you. Is it debatable? As in, is it truly something that isn't for everyone? There is something about it that is so uniquely your own that it might make someone go, yeah, that's not for me. But because you're so sure in it, and you know that you have an audience that it resonates with, you can kind of stand on that belief. So with that, are there brand truths? Are there things you're actively doing or can point to that support that belief statement? Is it something that kind of is inherently like a consumer truth or a human truth? Like it's timely and timeless. So therefore it's based on values that kind of don't dissipate over time. Is it unique and distinctive? Again, back to that being unignorable in this world where there's a lot of Me Too products and a lot of products that are really the same and or services that are the same. So what about you and your business is distinct and makes someone go, I'm going to choose to spend my money or my time with that organization or that brand? And finally, back to your an understanding of who you were for, like who are the people out there that become part of your tribe and your belief, and therefore ultimately choose you more often. So if anyone wants to start thinking that through, I think we'll start with ultimately the belief, and then we'll move into what could be a purpose statement. I'm not going to say this is easy, believe me. we do this. These sessions are typically done over a couple of weeks with a lot of scouting that kind of helps inform where you're going, like a real understanding of who you're up against, like who your competitive set is and what they're doing out in the world, and how can you be show up that is different, more distinct and unique than them, so that you get your fair share of attention from your audiences.
I was going to say I wouldn't have a job if this was easy.
Yeah. Does anyone want to volunteer, or we can, as Uju said, we can call you up and join us here for a conversation? Don't make her pick someone. She'll just randomly pick you. I know it. I can see that in her.
We're usually not a shy bunch. So someone usually volunteers to, we have Julianne. Julianne, please. She's a first volunteer. Please unmute yourself.
There's also a question here about belief and purpose versus mission and vision. And there is a little bit of a difference, but at the end of the day, within all of this, there is a little bit of semantics going on too. Sometimes we call it a belief statement. Sometimes we call it a conviction statement. And I think that it is one of those things where you are sort of nailing down or I guess assigning meaning to something that is really great. I think a mission or a vision, we typically don't do a lot of that, but there is a little bit of, what are you intending to do? What is your sort of goal? Like, what are you setting out to do with your mission or your vision versus, what you stand for, what your brand stands for versus your sort of organizational vision. Lori, did you have another sort of any thoughts on that?
No, I think that's a good, it's funny because we're going through this right now with a client of ours who has re-articulated what their mission and vision is. And I feel like your mission and vision is the foundation of where you start, because it really is about the organization as a whole and the business you're in. And then ultimately, when we get into the belief, it's kind of like, how do I want to say this out in the world? Like, mission and vision tend to be more corporate, and your belief tends to be a little bit more punchier and like something that's easily repeatable and could be kind of out in the world for consumers to read and experience. Like if you go on Nike's website, you can actually find all of this information lives for you to consume if you're interested. But as Davi says, it's kind of semantics, to be honest. Like we could probably make mission and vision work a little bit between belief and purpose. So I think if someone has a mission and vision already articulated, like we can start with that too, as just for this exercise.
Okay, we have a couple of volunteers. I don't know if you're going to do just one or you're going to do like a couple others, because we have some of them coming out here. But before we go into that practical session, I just realized I did not properly introduce Lori. So in case
that's okay.
It's Lori, I should do that. So Lori is also part of the John Street team. She has a track record of building brands from developing communications programs for complex businesses to launching fully integrated advertising campaigns. Lori fosters an environment where creativity can thrive. And having worked at some of Canada's most respected creative agencies, she has helped Canadians fall in love with Lay's, convinced beer drinkers to reach for a Coors Light, moved people from paying with cash to tapping with Visa, and sold people a forward banking experience with Tangerine. She's also really proud of her ability to lead and motivate a team through the constant change of today's business landscape. So thank you so much, Lori, for joining us. Also joining us today is the amazing team at TJ Maxx. Libby and Michelle, I believe Michelle is still on the call. They're one of our sponsors for Boss Women. So ladies, these are one of the people making this program possible for us. So just give a soft round of applause wherever you are. And I just wanted to really shout out to them. I would give Libby a bit of airtime once our practical session is over, just to talk to us for a little bit. But for now, just so that I don't keep Julian waiting, because I think she's the first person who
Put their hand up.
volunteered. Yes. So Julian, please unmute yourself.
Okay.
And,
Good evening, everyone. My company name is WOC Beauty, Women of Color Beauty. And I had a mission statement, and because of what I've heard, I've kind of broken it down and realized I have my belief and my purpose right in there. So the belief is, when it comes to beauty and skincare, we believe that one size doesn't fit all, and that women of color should not be limited to their choice of color, shades, and textures. So that's our belief. And our purpose is we want to empower women of color to accept and embrace their diversity, redefining traditional standards of beauty.
Oh, I love that.
It's great.
It's amazing.
Super. You've kind of hit everything on the head. A bit of a brand truth, like you've got a why in your belief, and then ultimately why you exist, like what you're trying to put out into the world.
Mm-hmm. And how you're serving your customers, right? Like it's this is what I believe, and this is how I'm going to change things and really have an impact because of that belief.
So now, since you have that articulated, Julianne, I think when you get to the next section of our presentation, we're going to talk a little bit about order. Like, how does that belief and purpose start to show up in everything you do? So just hold that thought.
all right, can we take other volunteers or?
Sure.
Yeah, so Patricia, please unmute yourself.
Hi,
And,
can you hear me?
yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Perfect. So I started this company in 2018 and haven't really progressed with it, but I'm looking to restart it now and actually working with a website builder. So he's asked me to do some homework, and I need to revise my vision and mission, but I basically wanted to talk about what my belief was, because I'm restarting basically. So my belief system is really that I believe if we sustain the planet will sustain us. I'm all about sustainability. And so I want to use that approach to redo everything basically. So I'm restarting.
That's
Can you hear me?
yeah, that's a big vision to sustain the planet.
Well, that's really my belief. It's not really my mission or my vision. I need to revise those statements actually. So I literally contacted this person yesterday, and he basically told me we have some homework to do. So that's where I am right now. So I guess with that in mind, I need to work out what my purpose is. I do believe you are what you eat, but I don't know how to put it all together.
Sorry, I'm just jotting things down because it helps me jog my memory when I'm talking. Yeah, so I think with a belief like sustaining the planet to ultimately sustain us, again, that's a very big.
So So I need to narrow
lofty.
it down.
No, I don't. I mean, yeah, like Davi's saying yes. You might want to make it a bit more pointed.
Okay.
And then the other piece of it, with a belief like that, you have to make sure that when you start to, like how you start to behave in the world, stands up for that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what I was going to say.
I grow herbs. I don't have a backyard where I can grow anything. So last summer, for example, I got like 17 pots and I grew all my herbs. To this day, I'm still using herbs I grew in my backyard, and it was all grown in pots.
Wow. So, you know, provenance is like from seed to table. You would be aware of the provenance.
Exactly. Yes.
Patricia, do you mind saying your purpose statement again?
Really, my purpose, well, I believe you are what you eat. So I really want to teach people, I want to combine those things. So sustainability and teaching people that they really are what they eat. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to put it all together yet, because literally I started this yesterday.
But I do think there's something interesting when you have like, I think that this is an issue that when there's something that you're really passionate about and you have that belief statement that feels really, really big and grand. And the nice thing about pairing belief and purpose is that you're able to take something that's quite big and lofty and then ground it with your purpose statement, so that it is something that is really tangible. So something like, you know, and I'm forgetting the exact words, but when you're thinking about sort of sustainability as like a big sort of mammoth issue, and then you think about your purpose but I believe that, you know, everyday actions can have a huge impact. Not saying that should be your purpose statement, but something like that, where it's like, actually the things that we do every day can really have a big impact. And then that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I'm going to help people with. And I think it creates something that you have this big problem that is kind of hard to overcome when it feels so big, into something that I'm like, actually, I can almost, you know, hold that in my hands and I know what to do with that.
And that makes a lot of sense, because I'm always tell people, you know, part of my business name is solution. So I'm a solutionizing with people, and I'm always telling people, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. So I kind of like that concept.
Yeah, exactly. And I see Jackie has a question here about how many words. I wouldn't say it has to be tied to how many words, but it should be a really concise idea, right? Like having a really single-minded idea. We do like to keep them as short as possible. The example that we have here from Dove, it's not one that we worked on, and it is a little bit longer than I would typically like, because they have a lot of ideas in there. Something like this Nike one, that's a one sort of singular idea, a couple lines, you know, maybe under 10 words, which I'm saying off the top of my head, but it really feels like it's a really strong idea. That the nice thing about it is, like, I've been able to, throughout this, continue to recite the Nike belief statement, because it's so short and easy and it's easy to remember. Whereas if you asked me to recite the Dove purpose statement, couldn't tell you what it is, because it goes on for a while, even though I know ultimately what they stand for.
Yeah, I think just building on that, like it should be single-minded. So it does force, it's really an exercise in reductionism, like really figuring out what it is you believe in, and then how that translates ultimately in what you put out in the world in your business. So it really is starting from your business. What is it I do? What is it I do? What am I putting out there? Be it I'm selling something or offering a service. And then what about you is unique? And how do you wrap that up in a simple, focused statement?
Okay.
So my statement was we see through the eyes of the customer. And I was thinking, you know, probably it wasn't meaningful enough. Or sometimes I'll say no job too big. Oh, I'm Jackie, by the way, and the owner of Stew and the Cleaning Service, Stew and the Cleaners Inc. Yeah, and sometimes I'll say no job is too big, no job too small. So I don't know if, you know, sometimes I try to see if I could you know, include some more words, or is that enough, you know? but it seems to work at some point at, my business.
Yeah, I think the other thing is a nice sort of check to just a sort of an internal check to test this against is it answering the question of why? Like if I asked you, if you said, I'm starting a business, and I asked you, okay, why? Like, why are you doing that? Why is that what you are, committing your time to your life to? Why are you investing in that? And so something like, why am I starting this running shoe brand? It's because I believe that if you have a body, you're an athlete, and I want to inspire every athlete, and there's a question here from Libby about, is a belief almost like an elevator pitch? I wouldn't say it's an elevator pitch, but it's telling people why you exist and why it's important to you.
Okay,
So I'd sort of look at those statements that you have of like, does that answer that question?
Okay, so just pulling things back in, and I see a couple of hands raised. I will get to you. Just give me a second. I just want to pull back on the last two people who volunteered their beliefs. And I really just want us to leave this exercise really knowing how to craft that. So for the first person, I missed your name, I'm sorry. When she talked about sustainability, should there be, because you said something about, the belief should then say why, but then that first line about, Lori, I think you got that down because I missed it.
Sustain the planet to sustain us.
Sustain the planet to sustain us. So in your, just using that, and I don't mean to pick on you, darling, I just want to use that as an example. So using that that line, would you think that exhibits or shows the why of the company? Because to me, when I look at that, I would think that it's maybe a recycling business. It was only after she talked again that I said, oh, it's actually natural herbal, like it's food or herbal kind of business. So is there a way to really clarify that, just so that we see how our belief can communicate what we're about? Because when I read Nike, I know it's something that has to do with sports. When I read Dove, I know it's something that has to do with, skincare or something. So how do we really clarify that?
And I think that does come down to pairing it with the purpose. So that last one there, what action do we take to live up to our belief? So, a belief, you can have, like Dove's, for example, we believe that beauty should be a source of confidence, not anxiety. They're a soap brand, right? Like that could be a makeup brand, that could be an accessories brand, that could be like, there's so many ways in which that brand could exist. And then the what they do, how they make it tangible, what action do they actually take to live up to that belief, to me is how you ground it in the world that you're really in. So I think that the belief can be a little bit loftier as long as the purpose is the thing that really drives it home.
Yeah, but I will build on that, Davi, to say that in your belief, having a little bit of the category you're in probably makes sense. Because if back to the one we're talking about, sustain the planet that sustains us, like when you say sustain the planet, like what do you actually mean? Because to your point of view, it's quite broad, like that's huge. But if you think about sustaining the planet in your own offering, what it is ultimately you're putting out there in the world to sell, or a service you have, if you can you articulate your belief in within your own business, your own category, it'll help. It'll still keep it lofty, but yet it'll make a nicer link into your purpose, and then ultimately into how you show up in any kind of communications, or anytime you interact with the consumer.
Okay, a follow-up question before we go to Dior. Dior, I see you're next. Can a belief stand on its own, or it always has to stand with the purpose?
I would say that they do really go hand in hand. And I think that when you have a belief without that purpose to really explain why you're here, it's really just a statement. It's something that you stand for. But at the end of the day, there is the so what question that comes out of it. Like, yes, I can believe that, but what are you going to do about it?
Yeah,
and so
and
to me, the purpose is quite important.
Yeah, I think they go hand in hand, and because the belief is what you're ultimately standing for, and the purpose is how you're going to do it to a degree. Like you look at Nike, inspiration and innovation. I mean, innovation shows up in all the different products they create across all the different categories they play in. Inspiration can show up in their fitness apps that you can download, and they're just like, they're free. They're completely out there, and they're inspiring you because it comes back to their belief. If you have a body, you're an athlete, and we're going to inspire you every day with our Nike running app and our Nike fitness app. So they're like, what the purpose does, it helps ground you in your business. Like, it helps just keep it really focused on what it is you ultimately do.
Amazing. Thank you for clarifying that. So we're just going to take one more, which is Dio, and then we'll continue with the presentation because I know you still have a bit to cover. So Dio, please unmute yourself.
Awesome. Thank you. Really quickly, we're a corporate wellness company that really provides, I would say, a wellness company that provides resources and tools for women to thrive both at home and at work. So that's the basic summary. And then in terms of the belief, we believe work-life balance is attainable for every woman, for every mom. So that's the belief. And then in terms of the purpose, we help, our purpose is to help every working mom secure a seat at the table.
Well, I think that like your belief statement is really interesting to me because it is something that is absolutely, it's debatable. It's something that you can really stand for and believe in. And then, you know, based on brand truths, like I think that one's really interesting of, again, how do you live up to that? Because it is definitely a big ask to make work-life balance attainable for all moms. And then the purpose, I think that the purpose, do you mind rereading that to me?
Absolutely. Our purpose is to help every working mom secure a seat at the table.
So I think this one's interesting because I think that is like a really interesting purpose statement, but that tie between the belief and your purpose, having something that falls really nicely out of that belief statement. So whether that's, you know, we exist to, let me think. I'm not gonna be able to come up with like a great purpose statement off the top of my head, but that idea of, you know, what are we, how are we going to live up to that belief statement? What action are we actually going to take to live up to that belief? And I think that idea of infusing, like, is there an opportunity to infuse a little bit more action into that purpose statement of what you guys actually do, so that if you were to tell someone that is your purpose, they sort of have an idea of what you guys are really offering.
We still have a couple other questions, but we'll get to that after you're done with the presentation. So
thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. Cool. So we've talked at length about purpose, and now we're going to talk a little bit about order. So this is how we kind of like to think about the brand experience, and really the idea of creating a consistent brand experience across all touch points. And that's really what we mean by order. So how do we take that purpose that we have, that brand foundation that we have at the center of this brand wheel, and infuse it into every single touch point so that there's order across the whole customer experience. And this diagram is kind of what we would use if we're thinking about like a really big company, whether that's TJX, Home Hardware, for example, which I have an example coming up from that. And these companies, you know, they tend to have a lot of different touch points. They have their social channels, they have their in-store, they have creative technologies, they might have their advertising, they might have, you know, what you see on TV or in Cineplex or on a billboard outside. But and so that is sort of what, when we infuse that brand purpose and that brand belief into an entire brand and are able to execute it across every single touch point that they have, it looks a lot like this. So Home Hardware is one of our clients. They're all about, you know, helping people accomplish projects and doing it themselves and really being there to assist people. And we're able to infuse that into so many different things, the whole, from the visual identity. So the way it shows up, it's a very simple brand, the way they speak. So, I don't know if anyone remembers, but Home Hardware's old tagline was, I think, homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice, a very long tagline. But this idea of even just how simple here's how is, and how it's the way the brand speaks now is very simple in a very sort of direct way. And every single touch point feels like it is about helping you do things yourself. It's about simplifying the complex things, about making things feel a little bit more approachable. But that is sort of for a really big brand. But the thing is that a consistent brand experience is not dependent on the size of your company. It's not dependent on, having ads on TV or having billboards outside. It's really about infusing that purpose and that belief into whatever touch points your brand might have. So your brand, you might have an Instagram page. It might be your customer service. It might be the way you speak to your customers. It might be your business cards. It might be, if you have a brand event, not during a pandemic, a separate in-person brand event when it's allowed. Might be your in-store experience, but if you're able to infuse that consistent brand belief and purpose into all of those touch points, that's when you create a brand that feels really compelling from the get-go. So I do have this example of a really small outdoor clothing brand called Alder that is close to the John Street Hearts, because it's actually founded by a former strategist at John Street. So she's very much understands the importance of having a strong belief and purpose. So Alder's belief statement is, we believe outdoors should be a safe, welcoming space for everyone, and outdoor companies should be leaders in inclusivity, diversity, and sustainability. And so they exist to make outdoor apparel for you to go outside, have fun, and get dirty and look damn good while doing it. And so what I really love about this example is there are a number of things that are really cool. One, just that idea of being inclusive, the fact that the world of sort of outdoor apparel is weirdly not inclusive and weirdly sort of one-dimensional, and the fact that it does actually feel like it stands out when we're able to speak differently. There's also this idea of being able to actually do things and have fun and get dirty, and athletic wear for women doesn't need to be just about wearing really tight leggings all the time, even though those are great. But what I love about that is that idea of just the dynamicism and just actually doing things and having fun is infused into even their logo, and having this really dynamic logo that changes and morphs. And what's cool about that is it really feels like it's an expression of what the brand believes. So even for a brand that is a little bit smaller, they're able to continually infuse what they believe into what they're doing.
And just before you flip slides, Davi, you can see too, like even in this little leave it better than we found it, where sustainability shows up in their belief that they want to make things better for the next generation, people coming after. So therefore, the decisions they make are driven by that. So they use environmentally friendly fabrics. They have ethical and transparent factories. If you go on their website, you'll see that they tell you where the product is being made in the world. So I think there's something really like a belief system that has, like, back to the point on sustainability being such a big thing, that consumers today would almost expect that if that's in your belief statement, you would then have something in your action that supports that belief. So they're, in this case with Alder, like just looking at the fabrics they use and where they produce is one way in which that belief shows up. That is somewhat intangible. Like it's not always at the moment of purchase that you're necessarily going to look for that. I mean, obviously, if you're a person that really cares about sustainability and in fast fashion, you will dive into that. But for other people that just kind of come into Alder's world and have a feeling about it, and then they see these little moments that just reinforce that belief of what this company is about.
Mm-hmm. So last exercise.
Our last exercise, yes. So, you know, we kept this again to Davi's point. Bigger companies have big marketing budgets and have a big footprint out in the world, be it like a physical store or stores across the country. Really, what's the word I'm looking for? Transactional website that's constantly being updated, like a heavy social presence. Like there's lots of brands that show up across the full customer experience, which is what this little wheel is meant to be, all the different points where you can reach your customer. But you can start to look at where your brand shows up or your business. So what are the tools that you have in your marketing toolkit right now to reach your audience and to ultimately convert into some sort of a sale? And I use sale broadly because I'm assuming everyone is selling something, be it a service or a product. So I think as you start to look at your business and where you are actually showing up, where you're reaching your audience, what does your experience look like? How is your brand showing up? And does it feel, if you go from your belief to your purpose to how you show up in the world, does it feel like a straight line? That someone, if they were constantly interacting with you and you had a conversation about, yeah, this is what I believe in, and this is why I exist, or this is my purpose out in the world, would that person play back to you? Yeah, that's been my experience with you. And the more consistently you can do that, the stronger all of the elements that you put out into the world work together. So if anyone wants to start a little bit about, you know, starting to think about your business and how your brand could start to, or how you could start to show up in each of those different touch points, happy to start chatting that through as well.
Okay, do we have any volunteers who wants to talk through how their brand shows up in the world? I know we had a couple of volunteers from the last belief exercise. Patricia, do you want to volunteer for this? Okay, let's see if this, okay, Julianne is willing to go again.
So, and I'm hoping I'm understanding where I'm supposed to go with this. So when you say touch, first, I'm going to ask a question first before I get into actually mentioning anything. So when you talk about touch points, are you talking about how we market based on our beliefs and our purposes?
I think that I totally recognize that touch points is a little bit of one of those buzzwords that means everything and nothing at the same time.
Right.
But it is, I think, it's not, I think the point or what we're trying to get across here is that when we're talking about touch points, it's not necessarily marketing or advertising in the way that you might think, where it's literally like, I am literally going out and talking, trying to get someone to come engage with my business. It's thinking about it more broadly of any time a customer might interact with your business. So whether that is like, I don't know if you've sort of looked up a business that you want to go to a store and you can't find a website for them. It's difficult to it's difficult to engage with that business, even if you actually really wanted to. And so I think there are so many different moments that we kind of overlook because we don't realize they're not sort of a direct way that we're interacting with people, but it's a way that our customers are seeing our business. They're making an impression about our business, and it's how we can continue to sort of create that consistent experience across the board, even if it's not as direct as you might think, sort of at your first blush.
Okay, so I kind of get, oh, sorry.
So I was just going to say, just to reiterate, like Shannon's got some great examples down there. They're all just the different ways that a consumer or your target audience would interact with you, first and foremost. And then secondly, when they have interacted with you and they want to reach back out to you in different channels, like, are they still experiencing the same experience across kind of all the different ways you can speak with them? I'm not sure if that was clearer than what that
Yeah, I think I get it now. So going over what my belief and purpose is, being the belief that WOC Beauty, my company, we believe in one size doesn't fit all, and that Canadian women of color should not be limited to choices of colors, shades, and textures. So I've actually launched, and I do have a website, and I've actually launched my business, and I'm just taking tips and learning where I can expand or where I can do more. So in following what you're saying, one of the things I do is I do introduce a lot of brands that are by women of color for women of color. So those are one of the touch points that I feel caters to what my belief and purposes are. So there's an understanding that, hey, this is made for me, but not only is it made for me, I'm supporting another woman of color, and they have the same understanding and same beliefs as I do and understands my skin. So that's one of the things I focus on in every brand that I introduce is I let them know, hey, it's by a woman of color for women of color. That's one of the touch points. Another thing in the brands that I introduce on my e-commerce website is that I educate on specifics about our skin needs, because some people don't realize that melanin skin, there's some skincare needs that are different from other skin. So just educating on why you may need this rather than that, and why this brand is better. And that's where my focus is on, is like those I feel are my touch points. And I'm not sure if I'm hitting it correctly, but
I think those are great. I think you're bringing up a really awesome point about living your values, right? Like it's something that if I believe this, then actually having the actions to back that up and show that this isn't something that you've, written a nice belief statement to go on your website, and then, the products that you're actually showing are not, or the brand partnerships that you have don't actually live up to that. So I think that's a great point with when we're talking about consistency, so that every time your customers do interact with your brand, you are really living up to everything that you're walking the walk as much as you're talking the talk.
Yeah, and just building on that, like even just hearing you talk about education, the fact that melanin skin has different needs than other skin, I feel like that taps into the one size doesn't fit all statement you've got in your belief. And it'd be a nice, like, education could be a nice pillar for your social media, like start to help women understand, if this is your skin, these are the products, and I am the person that can help, like my brand, my business can help put you in the right products if this is your skin. So you can start to kind of flesh your belief across, like, what does that mean? So that means that every product that I'm going to sell on my website is from a woman of color or for a woman of color's skin. Like that product selection, check. You're living your belief. Second, it could be around providing tangible, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say education again, but tangible things that women can start to lean into and understand why it's important to buy the products that you've got versus the products they can find on the shelf at a Shoppers or at another pharmacy or at Sephora or whatever. And so you could start to see how across this wheel, what your website could look like, what your Instagram could look like, and start to create that consistent experience through everything you do.
Thank you. That's some great advice that I'll take in consideration.
Awesome. So just to clarify and to pull all of that in, so when we're saying the touch points of your business, we're not just talking about the platforms where businesses can interact with clients or customers. We're also talking about the ways that you show up in terms of like experiences you want to create for them. So to your point, Julianne, it's also about like if I'm showing up for them to educate, that's a pillar where my business, that's a pillar or a touch point where my business can thrive. So great to clarify that. Thank you so much. We have a few minutes left. We're just going to take just 2 more volunteers, and okay, so we have Debbie. Yes, Debbie, go ahead.
Hi there, thank you. So I haven't been marketing my business yet. So I guess I'll first start with who I am and what I do. So I provide a service. I'm a copy editor. And what makes me unique is that I am Black, and there aren't a lot of Black copy editors out there. I'm also a queer woman, so there aren't a lot of Black queer copy editors out there. I'm also an adoptee.
Sorry,
adopters.
Debbie, can you speak up a little bit?
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you, yeah.
Oh no.
Now we can't hear you at all.
I'll take my earphones off.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry, those earphones, sorry. Okay, so I'll start again. So so I'm a copy editor, so I offer a service. I'm a copy editor. I'm a Black woman, so that makes me unique. There aren't a lot of Black copy editors out there. I'm also a queer woman, and I'm also an adoptee. So I was adopted, grew up in a white family in Northern Ontario. And so that's what makes me unique. And so I think I bring value to authors with a similar background, not necessarily adopted, but Black and maybe Black and queer, and also to publishing houses who may have Black authors, but they usually send their manuscripts to white copy editors, and they may think it might be better to send a Black author's work to a Black copy editor because we would have shared experiences, etc. I also am experienced in sensitivity language, so I could help with that as well. My goal, I used to say my goal is striving for the best experience for the reader, which is true, but it's also to provide, I can't put it into words, but it's something about being who I am and sort of giving who I am to help publishers and other authors who are Black or writing about Black issues. I know I bring something, but I can't articulate it. Okay.
Someone's saying authentic self, which I think is a great addition to,
okay.
to what you're trying to.
I was just something to provoke, Debbie. You said that you think ultimately what you bring to the table makes for a better experience for the reader, or is it really that you help the author deliver the content that they anticipated based on some caveats that you had said, the fact that you're Black and queer, so you have a lived experience that an author may be looking for an editor that has that shared experience.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you should be going after authors instead of readers, because the reader is kind of, at the mercy of the book they ultimately buy,
right?
Or what the article they're reading. It's reliant on the author and or the editor that is paired with the author in order to deliver the intention.
Mm-hmm.
But it might be more interesting for you to think about what your service in light of what you bring to an author.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's true because, I have created an Instagram account for my business, and I started following publishing houses and authors. So it's not like I'm following readers necessarily, although there are a couple of YouTubers that I've followed on Instagram because they review books. They're Black, they're Black women, usually YouTubers that are talking about certain books, like Gutter Child, J.L. Richardson's book and Essie Adujian's Washington Black. Excuse me. Yeah, so I am following them too, but I'm not marketing myself yet. And I think part of it has to do with COVID, and I'm just kind of feeling very vulnerable. And so putting myself out there, it just, you know, if people start to like engage with like what I'm posting and maybe asking questions like, who are these people? What do they want from me? You know, like I've got a lot going on in my head these days. So, and honestly, if I could just work in-house, I would be really happy. I did work in-house for 10 years, and then they did a restructuring of our department and I was let go, and that was 3 years ago. And I've just been sort of floundering ever since. And yes, I have a website, and yes, I've had some clients. But ideally, I never thought of myself. I never really had a desire to be a business person, an entrepreneur. I was very happy to work for companies, you know, and yeah, so this is all very strange. Thank you.
For sure. I think that, but there is something so fascinating when you're talking about this like identity like component, right? The fact that it's about sort of representing who you are, but it is also sort of tacking onto what Laurie's saying. There is an empathy component to, you know, what is it like to be an author who isn't able to communicate the way that they want to, because people, there are so many barriers to actually being able to, of what you say it, and then to, you know, your reader actually being able to read what you wanted to say. There are so many voices and and people, and like that barrier, is that what your purpose is, to help, you know, bridge that gap and help people actually communicate what they want to communicate and be heard in the way that they're trying to, in the way that they want to be. And I think that it is sort of thinking about what you're saying about who you are and how, if you were a writer, what would you want? Like, what are you looking for? And you are that person that you would be looking for, right? So how do you communicate that to those people and find that community that is looking for that service?
Yes, yes. And but that would be a pretty small community though too, right? If I think about, you know, Black queer writers, that's a small community. So I want to be a bit more broad to get, you know,
and I think that component too of listening, like thinking, then if your purpose, I guess, is to help people be heard in the way that they want to be, that's not necessarily only for Black queer writers, right? Like that can be, there are a lot of people who have stories that are just, you know, struggling to communicate it in that way. And that, you know what I mean? Like you're able to then think about, you know, it, and when we're talking about sort of tweaking that language of your belief and your purpose, it can totally shift the direction of what you're doing in different ways. So I think there's still flexibility there. You don't need to make it so niche that you don't have any customers left.
Right. Yes. Thank you. Is that all?
Great.
I have nothing more.
Sorry. Thank you so much. We have, we're kind of like at a time, but I just really want to thank you, Laurie and Davi, for really just pouring of yourself and then just helping us with the practical sessions. I do believe we have, yes, I love the slide. We have taken home some really practical lessons. Like we always think that, oh, okay, we know something, and then we come to sessions like this and we're like, oh, we're like Jon Snow, we know nothing. There's still a lot to learn. And so thank you so much for just sharing all of that. And I believe not just the people who were part of the practical session, every one of us will go home and do a bit of assignment to create our beliefs and also our purpose and see how we can show up in the world using those tools. So thank you so much. We hope that when we call you back, you return again and you know, just share. So thank you. I do want to give a few minutes to Libby to just talk to us a little bit. I believe she's still on. Libby.
I'm still here, yep.
Yes, I just want to give her just a few words that you might want to share with our ladies before we go to the next speaker.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having us. And I really want to say thank you to Davi and Lori for sharing your expertise tonight. Just for a little bit of background for everyone, John Street is one of our agency partners. So they've developed some fantastic campaigns over the years for our brands, Winners, HomeSense, and Marshalls. So thank you very much for joining us and for leading the session today. There was some great discussion, and I hope everybody will take their homework and come back with their belief and purpose. And just to talk a little bit about our partnership, as part of our CR mission at TJX Canada, which is the parent company to Winners, HomeSense, and Marshalls, we're committed to helping women and getting women get the skills and supports that they need to thrive in life and to get ahead in life. So we are really thrilled to support this program that's dedicated to female entrepreneurs. So this was our first session with the BBPA, and it's a new partnership with us. So we look forward to coming back again and seeing this grow and seeing all of your businesses grow. So thanks so much for having us. Oh, I realized I wasn't on video. I'm here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Libby. I look forward to having you again. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay till the end of the program. That would be fantastic. But you have our permission if you want to go as well. So thank you. All right, ladies, next speaker is no strange face. She was actually here last week, Danielle Spencer. Is Danielle on? I can see her here, but her video is not on.
Hi, yes, sorry.
Aha, there you are. Ooh, looking all fancy. So Danielle Spencer is an entrepreneur, marketing director, brand and project developer, project manager, and mom to this gorgeous little girl. You have no idea. She moves from one hat to the other at any given moment. She's working with various companies to create designs, products, experiences, and opportunities for a variety of clients. Currently, she's the owner of Baloo Organics, an e-commerce baby boutique, developing an online e-commerce baby boutique, developing products made from quality products. So please join me in welcoming Danielle Spencer as she talks to us through some of the practical tips of really creating a solid marketing campaign, creating the best copy to increase those conversion rates in your websites. So I'm just going to give the screen over to Danielle. Thank you.
Thank you, Uju. Hi, everyone again. I'm just going to share my screen with you so that...
Oh, just hold on. I think I have to make you...
Yes.
A co-host. All right, you are a co-host.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So I'm just going to share my screen here with you. Okay, so working in marketing, I absolutely have, tons of experience in, bringing clients to the e-commerce market. Me myself working with Baloo, there's a number of different things that I have learned that are definitely keys to my personal business success. So one of the things that I will get into first is writing a great copy. So for anybody who wasn't here last week, or I guess maybe I should just jump in and introduce myself first, but I own a retail baby boutique where our #1 product is baby ball pits. I started my business this year, just in June, and it's grown incredibly over the last few months. Some things that we've been able to do so far is we retail with a luxury baby goods giant in the States called The Tot. We retail on Best Buy. I have platforms on Etsy, as well as my own website, blueorganics.com. We're very active on social media. And things have just taken a really great turn in our growth. And oh, sorry, how do I do this? Sorry about that. And so being able to, you know, work in this industry, it's amazing. And you know, being a mom, you know, I love the work it is that I do. So when it comes to writing great copy, there are things that you really want to have a focus on. One of them is what I like to say is creating the awe factor. So working in baby goods, parents, they love cute things for their kids when it comes to activities and decor for their nurseries and playrooms. And so it might not necessarily be things that are cute, but what are you doing that's creating a gut reaction from your customers and from your audience? What is making people look at your brand, your images, your products and say, oh my gosh, like I need that, or that is so cool, that's so awesome, that is so neat, I need to be a part of that. So what are you doing that's creating that initial reaction that people just want to be a part of what it is that you're doing? The next thing that you want to be making sure that you're including into your marketing is how are you generating conversation? One of these things can include, you know, current events, for example. You know, not everybody likes to get super political, but for example, at the inauguration, that photo that was just all around the internet of Bernie Sanders with his mittens sitting in the chair, and how people just included it in every single thing that they were doing. And what that does, surprisingly, is that it's a common factor that everybody's enjoying, and to be able to see Bernie Sanders sitting in a ball pit, to see Bernie Sanders you know, in a hair shop or in a cleaning business, like regardless of what it is, like you can include these memes into your business. And when you do that, you're creating a point of unison that many of your customers and your clients, things that like they share, whether that is that they like memes, they like Bernie Sanders, they're, you know, Democrats, that they hate Trump, whatever it is, you're creating a point of reference that people can now share and dabble into a conversation with, be tagging their friends and family to come to your page and participate in a conversation. And so when you're doing things like that, you're bringing people in. You know, in this day and age, with the way that social media is, there's no reason why people are selling just their products and that's it. Your brand needs to be so much more robust than that. It needs to be a place where people come to for them to want to enjoy what it is that they're looking at, what it is that they're talking to. If they want to be able to use that platform to network, are you hitting these points when you're doing your marketing? And if you're not, you know, that's fine. It's just recognizing that and changing the pace of your business and your footprint online and being able to integrate that. One of my favorite thing is leveraging FOMO. FOMO is just like an abbreviation of fear of missing out. What is it about your brand that people want to be included in? You know, what's happening? What's the initial reaction and emotion when people are included? Like, what is that to your customers? What does it mean for people to not be included? One thing that I think is an example of this is looking at people who, like for example, the beauty industry. How people like to say, oh, I have a Chanel cream bronzer. I love it so much. Like I put it on like my bathroom counter and it's an aesthetic piece. I take photos of it. I post it on my Instagram, and it's almost like a part of who they are and how they express themselves. And then what that does is that's going to instigate an emotion to somebody else thinking, oh my gosh, like I want that exact same aesthetic. That's what her makeup looks like. I need that. So being able to make people think that, what am I missing if I don't have this? So a point of your copy is to be able to identify what is it that makes people feel left out if they don't have your product, if they're not a part of your service. There was one person who stood out from the last session for me. She was talking about like her cleaning business. And I just thought it was so great that she was interested in moving or integrating e-commerce into her business, because you would just think like, okay, like this is like a service, like what can you really do with e-commerce or with social media with this, but something about that could be including micro influencers and saying, you know, I'm going to give you my service. I'll come in for a couple hours. Your house is going to look absolutely fantastic afterwards. I'll do it for you for free. Just let me take some photos afterwards. And choosing somebody who has like a gorgeous house, like a beautiful house, so that when you go and you share these photos afterwards, people will think, oh my gosh, like, first of all, they're focused on like how the house looks so nice. But what they're going to associate with the beauty of the house is that the house is gorgeous, yes, but a part of it being gorgeous is that you had something to do with it. And so being able to take that and saying, oh my gosh, like, I love that, and being able to translate it into what it is that you're doing, be able to transfer the ownership of what makes that so beautiful and then making it your own, that's what's going to be a part of creating that FOMO that people want to buy into and that they want to be a part of. One of the last things is integrate your own values. One thing that I definitely have a conversation with my partner in the business about is how much do we want to include our own personal values in the business? An example of that is being like with Black Lives Matter, for example. I love that we have the opportunity to use our platform to speak about things that have to do with systemic racism, inequality and inequity within our community, and being able to share that with our audience. Sometimes people think that that can be a conversation that's not for business. However, for me personally, I feel like if I talk about these things and somebody gets offended, I don't necessarily want you to be with my products. And I know that some people might say, oh, you're excluding people for such a simple thing or whatever, but like if Black lives don't matter to you, you can't play with us. It's as simple as that. You know, that's really important to me. And so being able to include that into our business in a way that makes parents want to be more approachable to the conversation of you know, these topics, and then being able to share that with their children, that's really important to me. And what I've noticed is that being able to share that through my brand, I've been able to have more of a conversation with my customers as to these matters that are important to me. I create more personal relationships. It's great for networking with the people who are loyal to your brand. And you know, the only people you end up scaring off are the people who you probably don't want to be selling to anyway. And so I'm definitely a firm believer in integrating your values into your business and finding just the right way to do that for you, because that's just what creates more authenticity into your business and your brand. So building a community, an engaged community at that. I love the photos that come in that parents send us. A lot of our customers, they're very engaged in our social media, very engaged in our brand. There's even some people who have not purchased anything from us for various different reasons, and they're very much engaged with our brand. And so how do you build an engaged community? Number one is loyalty. How are people going to be loyal to you? I think this comes back to some of the points I was touching before, building that FOMO. You know, why would people not want to be engaged with your brand? They don't want to miss information. Being able to also expand your business past just your product and your service and what you're selling is really important, because you know, when you have nothing else to sell to people, either because they're not interested, they bought too much, they're not in a position to buy, how else are people being engaged with your brand? So being able to have a platform and a community that is beyond just selling to people is really important. So I think that comes back to also integrating your values and driving content that it is that you enjoy, and generating a conversation to your brand is super important. Some of the things that we do to bring in more people into our audience and into our platform is I love hosting giveaways. It's one of my favorite things. For many people, it's more strategic than the way that I do it. I'll just wake up one day and say, I feel like doing a giveaway. Like I just want to give something away to people. And so we do them more often than I think that other brands do them. But as a result, we have people who are always saying, maybe I'll win this time. And and another important part of that is always be responding to your customers, and don't even respond to them in a way that seems like it would be a third party who just wants to give them information and move on. When somebody sends me a message saying, oh, I hope I win this time, I'm like, oh my gosh, fingers crossed, I hope you do too, like this could be your time. Always be responding to your customers and to the people who are engaged in your platform, because at the end of the day, people just want to be heard. For the exact same reason that so many of us show up to the Boss Women program and we ask questions. It's because, we want to network, we want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to share our business, we want to know who has the exact same struggles that, we're going through, who has tips to share. And so in that exact same way, you want to be looking for the opportunity to be doing the exact same thing with people who are interested in your business. If nobody's coming to you to initiate that conversation, go to other people. If the hashtags that you're using, for example, I obviously use, ball pit, nursery decor. And so if I ever hit that, you can search just hashtags on Instagram. So go to the hashtags, see what people are posting with those. Those people want to be seen. They want to be engaged. So go to the hashtags and comment on their stuff. Be like, cute ball pit. If somebody is, if you're working in the retail sector with, hair care products, love your hairdo, or, like, what are you doing about seasonal dryness, things like that. Just engage other people if they're not yet engaging with you. Like it'll happen, it'll flow, but you also have to get into the routine of it. So even if you take 10 to 20 minutes in the morning and then 10 to 20 minutes at lunchtime and then at the end of the day, and just engage with people, you'll see a return on that where people are like, oh my gosh, they want to talk to me, like let me talk back. Because people aren't always just like rude. People want to respond, so give them a reason to. At the end of the day, if you're operating behind your business, it doesn't have to be awkward, because it's not like you have your face to it. So you have nothing to lose. Just say hi, say hello, drop a comment, bring people in. Okay, so the biggest things for me for creating or building an engaged audience is start a conversation, go to other people's pages, comment on their stuff, follow them. Bring people in. So host a giveaway. You don't have to give away something excessive, just give away what you can. Even if it has nothing to do with your product line, if you can afford to give away a $20 Tim Hortons gift card, do that. Just give people an incentive to come and participate. And engage. Just engage. Bring yourself into the conversation and just engage. That's the best thing that I can possibly say to you. Just talk to your customers, because they want to talk back to you. It's really that simple a lot of the time. And then when you get into the flow of it, it's easier. It's bigger. It's better. So one thing that we're going to be getting into is launching and tracking campaigns. So the images up top are some of the campaigns that we've done. The first one is our onyx ball pits, which are the black color, in velvets, which are just like so beautiful, so cute. The middle one was for our holiday collection, and to the far right. So the far right one, we encountered a desirable issue where Black Friday, we just got slammed, absolutely slammed. We just did so many more sales than we had anticipated doing. Our goal for the month of November was doing $10,000, and we were like, oh, we're gonna hit it. Like, we think that's doable. Like, we really think we can do it. We did over 100,000 in November. So we, first of all, ran out of inventory really fast. We sold through, oh, thank you. We sold through everything that was supposed to keep us until like January, early February. We sold out of everything. And so there was an issue where some packages were delayed. I'm sure, as you all know, it was a pandemic holiday where every single mall was closed. People could only online shop. And the chaos that was taking place at Canada and USPS was terrible. Packages were so far back delayed. And so we told people, if your package comes in late and it comes in looking mashed up and ugly, please send us a photo. We will send you a free set of bibs. And so we had people posting their little ones sitting on boxes in front of the tree at the front door saying, oh, it finally came in and it's ugly. Give me my bibs. So it made people excited to receive their products. Anyone's that came in late, we gave them like either we partially refunded them from like our end from what we had, or we just gave them a coupon for future use. But also just maintaining that communication with what was happening was really important, because a lot of people didn't quite understand why their products were so late. And so maintaining that communication was really important. But so in terms of launching and tracking your campaigns, set a start date. That is the number one thing, because otherwise you have no point of reference. How are you supposed to know, like, if things are just, you know, they happen to be coming in because, you know, of your campaign or not. And so with that, when you have a set start date for a campaign, don't have other things like going on. So don't say, I'm going to do a sale of 10% off starting, you know, March 1st, and then on March 1st also have, we're doing, you know, a giveaway of 10 ball pits, plus here are some Starbucks gift cards, and if you buy any type of blue ball pit, we'll also give you 4 of the blue bibs. Because then how are you going to know that your sale is the one that's generating the business, and be able to make that strategic decision as to when you're going to do sales moving forward? So you need to try to isolate the sales and the campaigns and promotions it is that you're doing, so you know which ones are working and how well they're working. You know, if you're doing, you know, we've done it before where we told parents, you know, so this goes back to just integrating like my own personal values into my business. I was just having like a week as a mom. Like my daughter was she was on one. She was being a little bit more difficult than usual because she was teething. Work had just gotten a little bit overwhelming. And I was just having a week, and I was just like, I need to drive to Starbucks. And I was like, you know, if I need to drive to Starbucks, I can't imagine the number of other people who want to drive to Starbucks. So I posted a gift card and I said, go get your coffee like on me for today. I'm going to reload the card every 20 minutes. Go take a mom break. And that was successful because just the number of parents like who wrote in saying I needed a break, and that was so sweet. So thank you. But we didn't, that was isolated in itself. We didn't have it going on with another sale so that we could be like, oh, like, was it the Starbucks that brought in business? Was it the sale that brought in the business? So you want to have them each isolated so that you know what's bringing in business and what's driving your sales. Another thing is using trackable codes. So for example, over the holidays, like for Black Friday, we just had an automatic code go through that was Black Friday 40. So anybody who came into our website, they were already getting the sale. That way it was just easy. If you're doing, so there's 2 ways that you can use sale codes. Number 1 is that it's an automatic code that gets taken at checkout. The next one is that it's a code that you give to people that they have to enter. I personally don't like using codes where people have to enter it, just because I feel like when you have a set sale weekend, for example, if we were to do a Valentine's Day sale from last Friday until Monday, I personally wouldn't have given out a code, just because A, I know people forget to use the code sometimes, and B, I don't feel like when other companies make you use a code that they genuinely want to give you the sale. They're kind of just incentivizing the people who happen to see it and taking advantage of the people who haven't seen it and not wanting to honor that price. So I personally just, when we're having a set sale, I do an automatic code. However, if you're doing a campaign with an influencer, that would be a situation where I say, give them a code so that you can track how well they're doing, how well that relationship is, if they're able to push sales, if there's value in that relationship, and how much you want to continue to use it. And so being able to see when to use codes and when not to, for example, I would say if you're doing any type of set sale, Black Friday, Boxing Day, if you're doing like a back to school sale, anything like in the springtime, when you're doing a transition of inventory, I would say just do a set sale for those. But when you're doing things like influencer codes, if you have something like when people register to your newsletter, use that as a code, just so that with those milestone items, you can see how well they're going and be able to see which how well your newsletters are going, or B, how well your relationships are going and how much you want to keep those. A third is link your integrations. So for anybody who was here last week, I went through the apps that I use on my Shopify and which ones work well for me. So some of those are Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram. And what those do is, because I have them integrated into my website, whenever somebody goes, I also have them integrated on Instagram, for example, to my website. So whenever somebody's on Instagram and they go to my website, it tracks that. So by linking your integrations, you can actually track how much of your sales are being generated from your social media activity. So if somebody's coming in from Pinterest, or they're coming in from Google, or they're coming in from one of the other apps that you have on your website, make sure you're linking those onto your website so you can see which ones are working and which ones maybe aren't. Maybe you need to change your strategy a little bit. But being able to see where traffic is coming from, it also gives you the opportunity to see how much you want to invest into different platforms. If Instagram's bringing in more business than Pinterest is, then maybe you want to allocate more of the funds that you have on Pinterest than over to Instagram, or whatever the case is. So you want to make sure that you're putting, your money that you're spending on your advertising into where you're getting the most bang for your buck, and being able to make sure that those clicks are, are working and they're everything that you need. So I shared this with our group chat over the weekend, but recently Instagram has done an update, and the way that your content shows up on feeds is, we already know that they took away chronological posting, which sucked. So anytime that you knew when to post to get the best engagement, that kind of just went away. Now it's a little bit more random, but the randomness is very dependent on how people interact with your content. If people aren't interacting in a way that Instagram wants, Instagram will just be like, this content isn't really generating engagement. Maybe we should just hide this person a little bit further down, or just not show it, because their whole thing is that they want people staying on Instagram and using the app, interacting with things. If your content doesn't have people interacting with things, then it's deemed like less essential, and you're not going to be getting the promotion that you want to be getting. So the first thing you're going to want to be making sure that people do is saving it. So to generate that type of content, what I like to do is I like to use quotes, memes, and those two also go towards sending. So you want things that are shareable and savable. So what is it that somebody's going to want to come back and look at? What is it that somebody's going to want to share to somebody else and say, hey, look at this, this is funny, or this looks nice, or this is cute, or I want this, or I need this, or babe, like hint hint, as like we can do. So you want to be making sure that it's savable and it's sendable. Not everything needs to be, but you want to be making sure that maybe like every 3 or 4 posts, your content is just that. So currently what I have going on is, so I do my posts every 4. And by that, I mean so one post will be of balls. The next one will be a child in a ball pit, but without the view of the balls. Another one will be a nursery or a playroom decor. And the last is a quote that has a purple background. So what that ends up doing is that my feed looks like it's lines. And then when you look at it, so then it'll be like all nursery decor, all quotes, all balls, all children sitting in a ball pit with no view of the balls. So it changes the aesthetic, but it also changes the flow of my content so that people have options, number one, as to what it is that they're looking at. And it also gives them, it gives me a little bit more freedom and a little bit more creative control into how I have the aesthetic laid out. And it's definitely more structured so that when you come to my feed, there is an aesthetic there, but it's not super, super obvious. So getting into the last two, likes are, important, and comments. Pretty self-explanatory, but the comments are important because you want to be making sure that you have that content, that conversation going on your feed. So whenever someone makes a comment, make sure you comment right back, because it increases your engagement for the algorithm, and number two, again, just getting back to having that conversation. So some resources for graphic design that I personally love, for anybody who isn't able to access full resources of a marketing agency. Canva is number one. They have great templates. It's really easy to use. I love to use it for background removers, for if I ever need something as like a transparent PNG. The only thing about Canva is that when enough people use it, a lot of people's content starts to look the same. So you want to make sure that even if you're using Canva, change some things. If you're using the template, still change some things. If you like the way certain things look, go into their elements and just change a couple of things. But it'll give you a good starting point at the very least, which is what I personally love about it when I had gotten started. And it'll give you an idea as to how it is that you want to do your feeds, especially for holiday posts. It's super easy. One of the next ones that I like to use is Content Cal. So organizing your content for the month. I think a lot of people don't organize their content, and so they end up missing key dates, such as International Women's Day or International Sister Day. Me being, in baby retail, family days for me are really important. So, brother, sister, mothers, fathers, family day, those types of things. Aunt day for me is super important because aunts love our products. The amounts of times that I get messages saying, oh my gosh, I need to get this for my nephew, I need to get this for my niece. Aunts and uncles are actually one of our biggest customer bases. So those days of those recognitions, to have those memes and those quotes for people to send out to their family is important for us. So to make sure that you have a platform where you can organize your information and the dates that you need to be hitting is really important. Another one that I love is Lightroom and Visco. These are preset photo editing apps. So it'll help you change the lighting, change the tone, put a filter on it, but not an Instagram filter, just ones that are nice and subtle. So I like to use those. Rimini is great for anybody who takes a photo and it happens to come out not the best quality, or between sharing, it doesn't come out, or for whatever reason the photo's not coming out picture perfect quality. Rimini will help you in updating that. PixArt is a great one for if you ever want to blur the background. So for example, if I have a photo of a ball pit and I want to just or somebody sends me a photo of their kid in a ball pit and the kid looks really cute, the ball pit looks really cute, but maybe there's just something in the background I don't like, I'll use PixArt to just blur it out. Later is amazing for scheduling. If you don't already have a scheduling platform, you absolutely need to sign up for one. Later has a free template to get you started. Another good one is Planoly. But personally, I just prefer later because it will automatically send out your content for you. So you can pre-schedule your content for the month to make sure you're not missing anything. Or if you don't want to do it for the month, you can at least pre-schedule important dates that you don't want to be missing. For example, if you want to pre-schedule, Christmas from now, Boxing Day, Black Friday, President's Day, Juneteenth, if you want to pre-schedule your key dates, you can do that through later. And later we'll do it for Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. It'll do it for all the major social media platforms. And I think they actually have a TikTok integration coming. And speaking of TikTok, if you don't already have a number of videos for your business to be coming out, you absolutely want to be changing that, because we see it through TikTok how quickly people consume their content. So you want to be making sure that you have something that caters to people like that. We definitely see a move going over to TikTok. So if you're not already comfortable with using video platforms to promote your business, now is a great time to start. Just being able to make that to adapt to the new platform and be able to learn how to use it would definitely be ideal. One of the last things that I think is really important is for people to have either a marketing agency to go to or a marketing mentor. As small business owners, obviously we all can't afford the resources of a marketing agency, but when you're able to maybe get like an hour consultation, what you can do is organize all of your content. Like if you can do it for like 3 months out, that would be amazing. If you can do it for 2, if you can do it for 1, whatever it is, organize all of your content and then take it to a marketing agency. At Brand EQ, what we'll do is if somebody's not able to fully afford our social media services, we'll tell them to just get all their content, organize it into how it is that they're going to be posting it, to send us the PNGs in like the full sizes. And what we'll do is we'll take, if they do like a consultation for an hour, we'll go through their content, point out to them where it is that they can be fixing things, what they can update, what they can change, how they might want to readjust their scheduling, what things they might want to add, how to change some of their captions, how to change some of their hashtags. So we'll go through those things with them. And we'll be able to like help them and like guide them into maximizing the content that they have going out. So if you have somebody already, or you're looking for one to be able to go through this content with you, that would be really great, because then if you have any blind spots, you have a professional who's pointing them out to you, so you can be maximizing the content that you're putting out. Social media influencers. I love social media influencers, but I love micro influencers. So, one of the first campaigns that we did was Naked Wardrobe reached out to us because this mom in California was doing a Mommy and Me collection. She's like one of the best friends of like one of the Kardashians. And so they wanted something big to be going out because it was going to, all the Kardashian moms, all the Jenners, and a number of other like A-list mommies out in LA. And so they reached out to us to do ball pits up as part of their PR packages. For anybody who's here last week, that's another reason why I say make sure you have great photos on your website. I would scroll back to it, but we actually take some of the photos ourselves since we've been in lockdown. And so if there's something that you're going to be investing in, I say make it a good camera. Canons are fantastic because those photos are literally how you sell your business. And so you want to be making sure that they're like the photos that you have coming out are amazing. But yeah, so making sure that when people come to your business and come to your brand, that it looks great. And so we've done high level marketing campaigns, but the most successful ones that we've done are actually with micro influencers. And that's because people don't necessarily follow micro influencers just for the aesthetics of their pages. They follow them because they actually like what they put out. They actually like what they have to say. They enjoy engaging with them. And so I have like we've worked with a number of higher level influencers, and we've actually found that the micro influencers give us a better return for the investment that we make. Every time we send out a PR package, they cost us about $500 Canadian plus shipping. So we need to be making sure that we're really getting a return on that. Otherwise, it's just money that's just flying right out of our pocket. And so we've, as time has gone past, we've gotten more requests for free packages to celebrities, and we've actually started saying no because it's not an immediate no. What we'll do is we'll have a meeting with them. We'll say, what is it that you're offering? Sometimes people will just say, oh, like, we're going to give you exposure. And to that, I always tell people, well, I mean, you found us, so clearly we're exposed. Like, we're going to need, like, you have to put a more definitive term on that. Like, will we be getting content? Because if you're able to give me, like 2 or 3 photos of, your kid and I can tag you in it, that gives me something. But if you're just saying you'll just post it one time on your story and you're not really going to guarantee me either content that I can use or a tag on your page or a shout out, then I don't really need that. So whenever you do work with influencers, always make sure you have an agreement, regardless of who it's with, micro or macro. Make sure you have an agreement, something in writing as to what it is that they're delivering to you. Again, I love working with micro influencers. The key things that I look out for are their comments and their stories. So I will ask them if they can take a screenshot from their most recent story as to how many people viewed it. If they don't have that available, then I will ask them, like, the next one that you do, please take a screenshot, and then we'll take the conversation from there. Way too many times do people purchase their followers, and it's not worth it. I've seen people who have 200,000 followers and they're, the wife of an NFL player, and they'll like message me and saying, oh, like, I would love to feature yourself on my page. Like, I have a huge following. And then I go and I look at their likes and their comments, and like 5 people commented on their last post, 20 people like on like another one. Or their reels. Reels are also a great indication as to what engagement is going on the page. If somebody has tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, but their reels aren't getting much engagement, it's an indicator that the content just really isn't there, and that the engagement isn't there. So you want to be making sure that you're working with people who are able to make a return for you. And when you work with influencers, you're able to maximize their platforms. So that's the biggest thing that you're able to do there. And just wrapping that up, the key things you want to be looking out for are comments, real views, and likes. Uju, I just took a peek at the time. I did not realize.
Literally almost the time.
I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize. I'm actually just gonna cut it there. And actually,
it's great. This is very valuable content, so it's great that
I apologize.
people were getting value out of it, because it's very practical. Like, a lot of our businesses are on these platforms, and we want to see how we can exploit and optimize our efforts. So I'm just, because we're literally 2 minutes out, or 4 minutes out actually, we're just going to take one question or 2, depending on how quickly Danielle can run through them. So we're just going to take the first one. Tashani, would you recommend creating social media accounts for all platforms and post the same content? So around repurposing content.
Use the same content, use it on different days. Why am I going to follow you on 7 different platforms if you post the exact same thing at the exact same time on all of them every single day? So you can have the same content, but just don't use it at the same time every single day. Change it up, usually by like the time span of like a week. So if you make a TikTok, post that TikTok, either maybe TikToks are different. So if you have a TikTok, post it on maybe Instagram the next day, or maybe a week later. I'll cut that there.
Okay, I think a few people are saying they can stay a bit longer, so maybe we just do like 5 minutes over time. But we have a few people who are raising their hand. Andrea, we'll just do Andrea and Jaisel, and we will call it a night. Andrea, are you there? Okay, so we just go next to JCL.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for taking my question. So I did post it in the comment section as well. And for myself, so I just got onto Clubhouse and that has just opened up the floodgates. And so I'm like fervently working on content and I'm so gonna connect with Brandy too once I get my 3 months done and come back to you and just kind of see what we can do moving forward from there. But with communications, like I find like I am now attached to my phone. So what advice do you have with respects to that communication engagement and managing it? Do you have
Absolutely. So me personally, I'm only 25, but I am such an old soul in a sense where when new things come out, I'm just like, no. TikTok came out and I was like, you will never catch me on there. Like, I'm not going to learn it. Absolutely not. Now they're saying it's the number one way for companies and businesses to be promoting their products. An example of that is I saw a restaurant in Toronto called Light Cafe that does brunch boxes. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go check that out. Valentine's Day had a lineup around the corner because that is how powerful the platform is for marketing. Clubhouse is another one where I joined it about a month ago and I have not done a single room. I haven't even joined one. And I need to do better at that because when you see a wave and a change of not just a trend, because when enough people start going onto these new platforms, it's not just a change. I think people are tired of just looking at the same photos and the same content all the time. The number one thing that I think people love about TikTok is that they were so ashamed to be using it. They never followed anybody. They never promoted their pages. They were just like, they're kind of like floating. So what ended up happening was people were sharing content that was just real and relatable because they thought that no one they knew would see it. Like that embarrassment was kind of just gone. And then with that, you've just seen people just rise. So having that authenticity in your communication and being willing to learn new platforms, especially when they first come out, because if you're able to be putting out great content on a new platform, you build followings really quickly. So the communication is really important, and being able to join, like especially on Clubhouse, like having like different rooms that you can poke into, raise your hand, make a comment, start your own, you're almost like having like your own TED Talks. So if you're saying enough stuff that's like good, it can be easy for people to just be wanting to join in. Sorry, I know you raised your hand like a little bit in the middle of that. Did you want to like expand?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to know exactly. So I agree with you. Like I've been on stages all week. My goal this year is to be on 15 stages, and I've now since blown that number out of the water using Clubhouse. I've hosted a room. I'm being very brave and very intentional about how I'm using the platform. And I really am using it to position myself as an expert in my industry, but also to generate leads. And so off of that, like I said, like my inbox is just blowing up. I've never seen as many blue check marks in my inbox since Clubhouse. And so I really want to foster those relationships, but it's feeling incredibly overwhelming. And so without wanting to like auto-populate an answer and just kind of give out these templates, do you have somebody who helps you to respond to all of those comments, or is it something that you just kind of manage on your own?
So we have enough different platforms that between me and my partner, we tackle them between the two of us. We had some bad overlapping where we were ended up just saying like the exact same thing to people. And so we were like, okay, I'll take emails and Instagram, you take Etsy and the Tot. So we split it up like that. But this kind of ends up coming down to who you want to network with the most. So to that, I would say chunk out like 30 minutes in your morning and 30 minutes in your evening to go through your emails. But otherwise, just like hold off on them, because if you keep on going through them like throughout the day, it can get really overwhelming. So what I would do to that is go through all of your emails at like 2 points in the day and like highlight the people who you really want to be in contact with. Anybody else who you're not super interested in, sign them up for like a newsletter of like what you have going on. you know, if people really want to be in contact with you and they want to know what you have to say, that is a great way to do it. Another really good one is try to move them from your email then to your social media. I see enough people who send me emails that can very well just be comments on some of my posts and some of my pages. And so being able to transition people to recognize where an actual networking opportunity for growth is and where someone might just want to have a casual touch base with you. They don't need to be filling up your mailbox. So just, if you don't actually want to respond to them, just follow them on Instagram and then like leave some comments on their stuff. If they become serious about an actual opportunity, they'll reach out to you in a serious regard. But your email isn't for people who want to be casual about things. It's for, you know, serious stuff. So that's what I would do.
And in addition to that, if I can just add to Danielle's point about time management, you know, whether in the morning or in the evenings to attend to these things, I would say really don't be realistic with yourself and your capacity, and don't stretch yourself too thin. From what you have said, it seems like Clubhouse is giving you the highest return on your time investment. I would say then pick the ones that are really yielding more results for you. Then maybe focus, say, okay, maybe I want to give 60% of my time to that, and then give like another 30% to Instagram, even though it's not returning right now, just so that that audience doesn't feel abandoned. But like prioritizing your time also based on the platforms that is giving you the most bang for your time. That's what I would say. When I started, because mine is, I don't have a business yet, but I'm building my personal brand, and I spent a lot of time on Clubhouse, and I saw the uptick. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to spend more time this week on Clubhouse just because I see the returns. So just optimize your efforts based on that, and hopefully, because it might not, Clubhouse is new, so it might not be like this for a while. So like after maybe a couple more weeks, a month, you see that things go back to normal, then you can now, okay, let's re-strategize and rejig your time management. So I hope that helps.
That really helps. Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you.
And Brand EQ, we're also looking forward to like consulting with you as well, because I know you mentioned that you wanted to continue conversations with Brand EQ. Danielle is with Brand EQ. I'm with Brand EQ as well, so you can always reach out. And if you have any other questions, we'll help you answer. Thank you so much. I know we have gone over time on a Tuesday evening. We just want to give you your evenings back, because I know tomorrow might be a long day for a lot of people. But I want to say thank you to hanging out with us and for engaging. I am so proud of all the engagement that comes through, because sometimes when facilitators come, I'm like, are my people going to be all quiet and awkward? But then I'm always happy when I see the engagement. So thank you. The presentations will be shared with you by tomorrow. And so if you have any other questions, you can always email and I will answer. Thank you so much. Someone is asking for the WhatsApp. Let's see. I don't know if I can.
I think you would have to add them.
Yeah,
but also, I apologize for going over time. If anybody had any questions, feel free to connect with me like through Instagram or send me an email or LinkedIn, but honestly, whatever platform you're most comfortable with, like absolutely connect with me. I'm absolutely like love messaging people about their businesses and whatnot. So do connect.
Yes, I just see that. I saw that Sharita just shared the WhatsApp link. Thank you so much. So I'm just gonna say goodnight to everyone and enjoy the rest of the evening. We will see you next week, Tuesday, same time and same bomb content will be shared with you. Have a lovely evening, everyone.